Well, this is kind of depressing. TSP Bucket Strategy Part 2, starting in, if you retired December 31st, 1999, and you put, you need 6% a year off your portfolio. What happens then? Not going to look good. No other way around that. This is the time, the outliers, that when things go to bad to worse, this could quickly come back to bite you in the bud. No getting around this, my friends. So in this case, again, we're setting up the scenario. We got $100,000. We're going to put, we need $6,000 of income the first year. We're going to adjust that for inflation every year thereafter. So we get $100,000. We're going to put 2 years of income in the G fund, and we're going to put the remaining in the C fund, the S&P 500. The G fund is essentially the 10-year Treasury bond fund that the TSP has. The C fund is the S&P 500 fund. So what happens is once the G fund drops below 2 years of cash, we got to replenish that with the C fund, and this is going to be bad. So this is going to get ugly. So let's look at this, man. Oof. All right, so here we go. We got $88,000 in the C fund. We got $12,000 in the G fund, and $6,000 is what our first initial distribution is, and we're going to adjust it with inflation. This is real-world inflation numbers, real-world G numbers, and real-world C numbers, and it just gets ugly, man. All right, so the $12,000. So the C fund, we started with $88,000. It fell 9.14% that year, so it fell to $79,957. The G fund was up 6.24% that year, so it was up. But unfortunately, we still needed to take $6,200 out of the portfolio. So even though it was up 6.42, even after we took the $6,200, we're still down to $6,566. The next year, the G fund fell 11.94%, so now it's down to $70,410, where the G fund was up 5.39. But again, we've got to take out the $6,378. Again, the 6% initially adjusted for inflation, real live inflation each and every year. And so now we're left with $545. Not enough to get the job done. We're going to need 2 years of income, so we add $12,755 to the following year, and we take $12,755 from the C fund, and so now the C fund is down to $44,942. So the C fund is taking J52 minus this amount right here, the $12,755, which has got to be put back into the G fund, and then on top of that, it's losing another 22%. So now, in 3 short years, the $88,000 that was in the C fund is down to $44,942, and I have a sneaky suspicion we're not going to recover. The G fund, on the other hand, even though we have that increase of $12,755, well, we still have to live on $6,480. So even though we have that increase of $12,755, and even though we got 5% in 2012, the facts are we still had to take another $6,480 out in which to live on. So in this case, I'm not even messing with taking money out to do 2 times expenses. We don't have. There's not enough time. We're running out of money. There's no other way around that. So now we're going to start taking the money from the C fund, and you can see it goes from $44,000. We had a good year in 2003. Still had to take this $66.29 out, so we're left with $51.39. Then we had a 8.2% in 2004. After taking $6,808, we're left with $49.86. Then you can see in 2005, 2006, and 2007, we're down to $40,223. At least our G fund has made its way back up because we're not having to make any withdrawals from it. So the G fund is back up to $9,345. And then the hammer hits. So this year we are down 37% in the C fund. On top of that, we're left with $25,344, all right, and we have to take a $15,000 distribution in which to put in the G fund, and basically, in this case, all I'm doing from here, I'm kind of throwing up my hand and saying, look, we got $25,344 in there at the end of 2008. Then we have. After we take the $15,503, even with the 26% rate of return, we're only up to $4,746 in the C fund. I'm not even taking money from there anymore. In this case, we're down the G fund. We have 10,243. I'm just pulling the money from the G fund. And in 2011, we're out of money. And the G fund, and then 2000, and let's see, and then we're going to be out of money here short. Yeah, actually, it's even before that. So in 2012, it's actually going to be 2011. So in 2011, we run out of money. No getting around that. You're taking 5% would have changed that much initially. That would have changed a little bit. I mean, we can do 5,000 here and see what we're looking at. It's not going to change much. A little bit. Well, I guess it does a little bit. Yeah, maybe I can do a 5% one at some point. But 6% is not happening. It's not going to work there. Oh, the only reason that works is I'm not even taking money from it anymore. 5% is not going to work either. Yeah, so that's bad. All right, so that was bad for sure. I mean, look at this. 5% a year is not going to work. 5% initially adjusted for inflation is not going to work. If you retired in 2000. Yeah, that's bad. That year crunched us. This is where a diversified portfolio would have been nice for sure. But, and I'm not even, at this stage, we're running out of money. I mean, we're running out of money within maybe 11 years as opposed to 10. It's still running out of money because this is the sequence of return risk right there. Yeah, that's bad. That is bad. That's too bad. So a couple things. We need to get a more diversified portfolio to keep us from getting hammered like this right here. So that's the rule of thumb right there. We got to have more than just a C fund. We got to have a diversified portfolio because if we go to the, I don't know if I have the life cycle funds in here. Let's see. I guess not. Yeah, shoot. I don't have the life cycle funds in here. But let's just look. And so if we go to the S fund in 2000, and that was down. Go to the I fund, that was down too, so that didn't work either. So 2001 and 2, we got hammered. S fund, I fund, and C fund. There's no escaping. We're running out of money if we follow this scenario. All right, so that's interesting. What does that tell me? You're gonna have to put some kind of stop on that. That's the issue. When you are, we still ran out of money there. I don't know. I'm gonna have to mess around with this a little bit because that's not gonna work. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I know that decade was once in a lifetime. I would not have comfort. Two things gonna have to happen here. Is you're going to have to tighten your belt. And what I mean by that, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if I may be very clear, if you take a percentage and adjust that each and every year inflation, you're living on borrowed time because a year like 2000, if you retire, I mean, and the likelihood of you retiring into a year like 2000 or the decade like 2000 to 2010 is not highly probable, but it did happen. It did happen. Real lot of people did get affected by retiring in 1973 and 74, and then again in 2000. And then again in 2008. There's got to be some kind of stop loss there without question. So a couple things jump out at me. One is you always got to take a percentage. What I mean by that, don't say I'm taking 5% a year and adjusting that upwards of inflation every year. You can't do that. You got to say I'm taking 5% a year or 6% a year. Regardless of what the portfolio does, I'm only taking 6% of my portfolio. That's rule number one because that's the only way to ensure that you don't run out of money. If that means you got to tighten your belt, well, you better tighten your belt because you're going to be doing a lot of belt tightening here. If 10 years from now, when you have no money left over. Now we haven't done a reverse mortgage. Maybe I'll throw a reverse mortgage in the mix here too. That's actually a good idea. I think I am going to do that, but throw a reverse mortgage into the mix. I was actually pretty surprised how devastating it was. I thought it would be not nearly as peachy keen as when we did start in 1988. I didn't realize how bad it would be though. In this regard, a 6 or 5%, 2002. I mean, look, I was in the business at that point. I didn't realize how significant those 3 years front back to back to back really were for a retiree. That's you're just not recovering from that. So we got to avoid that. That's what it comes down to. You've got to avoid that at all costs. Which maybe you start. This is what Kitces talks about. He talks about starting more on the G fund, on the bond side, and getting more aggressive as you get older. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. He did an article on that a few years back, and I think he just revisited that not too long ago. I think with my man Wade Pfau, actually. You can't have this. This right here is the C fund getting those, getting hammered those 3 years. You just can't have that. And the only way to insure against that is, if the market is down, you just got to get out. And now the problem with that is, if that happened here, you would have got out here and missed that year. But so I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, that's the issue. If the market is down, you get out. But then if the market is down here, you get out. I mean, or do you say, if the market is down 10%, I get out? That seems to be a little bit more problematic than I think, just because who's going to watch it? I'm starting off at $50,000. If the market's down to 45, I get out. I mean, it's easy to say if the market's down 1 year, 9%, I get out, and then you miss these 2 years. But if the market's down, in this case, 37%, and you get out the following year, well, you miss this. It's got to be, it's interesting. And there's no right answer here. I mean, because you don't know what the future is going to hold. I'm just thinking this might be where the Kitsis thing says, look, start on that heavy on the bond side, like I was doing with a 5 years cash, and then slowly move over to more and more equities as the time goes by. Something to think about. I'm going to throw a reverse mortgage in here at some point too, because I think that could be the saving grace here, when we have another source of income to draw on. Without having to tap. I mean, the issue is when you're tapping into stuff that's just, I mean, the bonds, even if you're not starting with enough money to make that 6% in the first year increase very much. So even if the bonds do that well, it's irrelevant, because you're not making enough money. You don't have enough money in there. It's just the first 3 years. That's the sequence of return risk. All right. I'll think about this. Always appreciate your thoughts and comments. You're going to have to do reverse mortgage. There's no other way around that. You're going to have to get a line of credit established. Unless you don't need that money. I mean, if you don't need the money, then don't sweat it. I don't care. But if you got pension and Social Security enough to cover you, you're going to have, then you don't worry about it. But if, like most, you don't, you're going to have to do a reverse mortgage just to get established and say, from where can I take this money so we don't get killed on the front end? And we're going to throw that. So we're going to have the G fund, the C fund, and reverse mortgage. That, man, I'm telling you, we'll see how that shakes out. All right, we'll see you. Smash.